Stage 2, Education and Understanding. Objective: to understand how trauma affects the brain, emotions, and behaviors while developing critical thinking and empathy for yourself and others. Each step in this stage includes a lesson, reflection questions, and an accountability checkpoint that will be revisited in Stage 4 to measure growth. Step 1. The Neuroscience of Trauma. Goal: understanding how trauma rewires the brain and influences emotions and behaviors. Lesson: the impact of trauma on brain development and function. Trauma can physically change how the brain develops and functions, especially when experienced at a young age. The brain is constantly adapting to experiences, and when trauma occurs, it shifts into survival mode, prioritizing fear responses over logical thinking and emotional regulation. This can lead to heightened anxiety, difficulty concentrating, impulsive decision-making, and trouble forming healthy relationships. Long-term trauma exposure can make the brain more reactive to stress, making it harder to feel safe or trust others, even when danger is no longer present. How the amygdala, hippocampus, and prefrontal cortex respond to trauma. The brain's response to trauma involves three key areas. Amygdala, the alarm system. This part of the brain detects threats and activates the fight, flight, or freeze response. Trauma can make the amygdala overactive, causing heightened fear, anxiety, and emotional outbursts even in safe situations. Hippocampus, the memory center. The hippocampus helps process and store memories, but trauma can shrink its function, making it harder to distinguish past from present danger. This can cause flashbacks or difficulty remembering details of traumatic events. Prefrontal cortex, the rational thinker. This part of the brain controls decision-making, reasoning, and impulse control. Trauma can weaken the prefrontal cortex's ability to regulate emotions, making it harder to calm down, think clearly, or make rational choices under stress. Why trauma can lead to heightened emotional responses or numbness. Trauma can push the brain into two extremes: hyperarousal, feeling on edge, anxious, or easily triggered, or hypoarousal, emotional numbness, dissociation, or feeling detached from reality. A heightened emotional response happens when the brain remains in fight or flight mode, reacting strongly to perceived threats. On the other hand, some people shut down emotionally as a defense mechanism, disconnecting from their feelings to avoid pain. This numbness can make it hard to feel joy, love, or even sadness. Both reactions are survival responses, but they can be unlearned with self-awareness, therapy, and emotional regulation techniques. Understanding how trauma affects the brain is essential for healing. By recognizing these patterns, people can work toward regaining control over their thoughts, emotions, and reactions, leading to a healthier, more balanced life. Reflection. Questions. 1. How does understanding the science behind trauma change my perception of my reactions? 2. Have I ever felt like my emotional responses were out of my control? How does this lesson explain that? 3. What steps can I take to rewire my brain for healing? Accountability. Checkpoint. Identify one way your brain's trauma response has influenced your behaviors. Revisit in Stage 4 to assess how this awareness has helped you regain control. Journal exercise. How trauma affects the brain. How has trauma affected my decision-making, emotions, and memories? What is one way I've noticed my trauma influencing my thought patterns? How does my body react when I feel emotionally triggered? What small step can I take to rewire my thought patterns?